Welcome to Content with Character, the weekly podcast that'll give you the momentum you need to create content with more ease, clarity, and laughter. I'm your host, content copywriter Emily Aborn, and I'm all about unconventional marketing approaches. I believe in your big ideas, and I'm excited to help you share them in a way that's distinctly you. Quite a few entrepreneurs I've spoken with lately have shared with me confidentially that their businesses have experienced a serious slowdown this year. Now, I'd love to try to find an industry correlation, but realistically, it's been everything from coaches to web designers to product-based. So, I decided that for this week's risky business topic, we're going to discuss what to do when business is slow. I'm going to give you some really tangible ideas, and I promise to make even this terrifying topic fun. I'm so glad you came back. I was a little worried last week's topic was going to be too scary for some of you. Just kidding. Welcome back. Nothing is as scary as we think when we actually talk about it, right? Acknowledge it, wiggle around in the truth it has and the information it brings. So that's exactly what we're going to do again today. We're going to talk about something I think is highly relevant right now. At the time of recording this, October 2nd, 2023, it's a real prospect, and it's a terrifying prospect for some. And you know what? For others, it is the reality right now because, like I said, I'm recording this October 2nd, 2023, and this year, I've been hearing more and more that people's businesses are suffering from being slow. So, I'm going to keep the housekeeping super short and sweet because I want to make sure we have time to really stretch our conversational legs, but I definitely want to shower my new reviewer and new listener with gratitude for taking time to write such a thoughtful, honest, and loving review of the Content with Character podcast. Thank you, Trish. Trish says, I'm a new listener from Mickey Guru Travel Company, and I find myself taking so many notes and resonating with each and every episode. I found so many new tips to use for my business. I always look forward to new episodes. Thank you for all you do for us, Emily. Thank you, Trish. It is truly my pleasure, my joy, and I love that you take notes. You are a person after my own heart. If you are new to the show, the quick dish on me is that I'm Emily Aborn. I'm the host, which you probably guessed by now. I'm the host of this podcast, the Content with Character podcast, as well as the She Built This podcast. And I'm a content copywriter, which actually means I write and I help people to write content, which is like their blogs, their email, their social media, as well as copy, which is things like their website copy. I also help with like welcome packets and podcast pitches and things like that. So lots more. I'm also a speaker and presenter, meaning I really love, it lights me up from head to toe to come into organizations and groups and share with your people very specific things that are tailored to what they need. Also, if you just so happen to be listening and you're local to New Hampshire, I want to share about some of the things that I'll be at in the coming weeks. So, because I want to invite you to join me, there's an upcoming SCORE conference, which is for women entrepreneurs. That's happening on Friday, October 20th. It's an all-day conference in Kensington, New Hampshire at the beautiful Alnoba Retreat Center. I've never been there and I can't wait. I'll be sharing on visibility and connecting with new audiences, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, there's one. And then I'm also going to get to participate in Leslie Sturgeon's Roundtables of Inspiration event, which is like bite-sized business bits. So that's going to be on October 18th at Fratello's Restaurant in Manchester, New Hampshire. And of course, I'll make sure all the links are in the show notes for you to check out. And if you're local to New Hampshire, also wave to me next time you go over the mountain and through the tiny town of Temple, because that's where I reside. Okay, let's get into the scary topic of the week. We're going to talk about a risky business topic for the week, which is what to do when business is slow or when business slows down. And I mean like what to do besides just, stress and pull your hair out. So we're going to really give you some tangible things. I feel like I should play some sort of like spooky music or scary music when I shift gear into the topic. You know what? Imagine it for this week, and maybe I'll do it next week. Just pretend it's there. It's going to be great. Okay. Quite a few entrepreneurs I've spoken with lately have shared with me confidentially that their businesses have experienced kind of a slowdown this year. And I wish I could give you like an exact industry that I hear that in, because I'd love to be able to say like, oh, it's all this industry, but it's actually been everything from coaches to web designers to product-based businesses. So I've been hearing it kind of left and right, and I was like, I need to do an episode on this. Now, as I was thinking about it and preparing for this, I saw a post on Instagram from Simone Sell, who is a great person to follow. And if you, like me, are a fan of non-gross marketing expertise, you definitely are going to want to follow her. I'll make sure to put a link in the show notes as well. And actually, I'm going to make sure that this specific post that I'm talking about is linked, because I'm not going to quote the entire thing verbatim. I'm going to give you my summary, but I'm going to read her initial part. So the first part of her post, it says, it's 2023. Many businesses are tanking. Nobody's buying. And yet some are okay. A few are even thriving. So what gives? What's the difference? And then she basically goes through, I think it's like 6 slides. So she goes on in the slides to share that the most resilient businesses right now had a couple of like common threads that she's seeing. They had maybe previously established steady roots. And she was kind of pointing to, this is not just a lot of follows on Instagram, okay? This is real relationships with their customers, real touch points with their client base and community, like that real know, like, and trust, that elusive know, like, and trust made tangible. She also goes on to say that it's businesses whose marketing is really authentic and genuine. They're not just showing up to sell, convert, manipulative in a nutshell, if you will. And I think that that's partly because, like, as a society, we're just learning that these tactics are not really for us. Like, once we spot them, we're like, nope, that's not for me. No, thank you. I can see that coming a mile away. The third reason she shares is that the businesses doing well are the ones really grounded in their values and taking a stand for those values without fear of maybe people disliking them, disagreeing them, without fear of repelling people, especially as she gets into as it relates to sociopolitical issues. So I think this, after reading this and, thinking about this a while, I think that it is becoming easier and easier to blend in. And I think that there has for sure been a lot of opportunities to just take what works, take what air quotes works for someone else and apply it to your business. And the truth is, I don't think that the cookie cutter methods really are just for all of us. I don't think that they're for many of us, in fact. I had an entrepreneur share with me last week that when she first got into this space, this entrepreneurial space, the way that coaching and courses were being structured, she started to feel like something was wrong with her. She said, you know what? I started to think, well, maybe I'm just not cut out for entrepreneurship. Like, maybe this is not for me at all, because none of this really feels right for the business idea that I have. And that really, I was so happy she shared that with me, because that shed some light on what I think is going on. I think that more than ever, we do sort of have to take the time to sit down and get honest and clear with ourselves. Take a little inventory, if you will, because that's going to reflect out like who I am. How am I different? How can I show that to other people? Like, it is so the time to stand out. And I'm not talking flashy in your face reels, if that's not your thing, or bright pink like confetti branding if you're really more of like the, incense and sunsets kind of person. I think that the one and only way to really stand out is to just be ourselves and to take time, take the pause and go inward enough to understand what that actually is and what it means to your business and to your clients. So that's kind of what I want my launching off point to be in today's conversation. And I want us to keep that in the back of our minds as we go through the ideas of things we can actually do during a slow time. Because I'm not sure if you have ever experienced a business slowdown, or maybe you just fear one, but I can tell you it actually sucks. It is a very painful experience. It's the thing that 6 years ago launched me into doing kind of a soul search and discovering the path that I'm on now. That's another story for another day. But even in this business, my current business as a content copywriter, I've actually experienced 2 pretty significant and scary business slowdowns that made me feel very stressed out and like I was experiencing a little bit of the risk of business ownership, right? It's stressful. It can make you want to tear your hair out, or at the very least, just get up all in your head and wonder if this is going to be the reality forever. Now, sometimes we expect slowdowns because of like seasonal trends and things like that. Like sometimes our businesses truly do have these seasonal trends. Sometimes the business slowdowns come out of nowhere. And to be honest, I don't know if it's easier one way or the other. I don't know if it's easier to expect it or for it to be a complete surprise. I don't think either one is necessarily my cup of tea. Now, let's say that you maybe are experiencing a business slowdown right now. I don't know about you, but my business is kind of like an appendage, right? So like if it's suffering or if something in it is feeling strained or off, like I feel it. I feel it throughout my life. And sometimes I do actually end up taking what is happening in my business personally, or I take it to mean something about myself. So if it's not going well, I might experience shame. I might feel a little bit of ashamed that I'm not doing something I should be, or maybe I'm not worthy enough or good enough as a person. Like nobody wants to work with me. Shame that maybe I caused this and it does say something about me as a human being. So let's start by getting rid of all of that. Like that does not have a place in today's conversation. We may definitely have some things in our businesses that we can work on that actually could be our responsibility if we're experiencing a slowdown. But it does not mean for one single second that you, me, we are any less worthy, any less valuable, any less awesome, any less desirable, or otherwise, okay? We don't need to shame ourselves. You just need to be willing to take an honest review, take responsibility, and then challenge yourself a little bit to step into action from here. But there's no shame. So bye-bye. All right, now we have that out of the way. A lot of what causes a business to slow down, in fact, has absolutely nothing to do with us. Like there are many, many factors outside of our control that can slow us down when we're trying to get more clients. Here's some examples I came up with. You could probably come up with more. Holidays and seasonality, people's ability to travel, weather, economy, consumer trends, current events, technological shifts, right? Like AI replacing some or all of your services. That's a real prospect. Something happening specific to your target market. So for example, parents who are experiencing getting their kids back into school at the end of summer, like they may not have as much time on their hands. They may not be in kind of like education mode or something like that, education for themselves. So I would encourage you to kind of start out by feeling your feelings. Like let's put these factors aside for a second. Feel your feelings and allow yourself to acknowledge that, you know what, a business slowdown, even the prospect of a business slowdown is scary. And it sucks. Like we don't need to sugarcoat this. Especially you don't need to sugarcoat it with me and pretend. If you were like sitting down with me and we were having a coffee or a water or Pellegrino or something, I would let you share and I would give you a big hug and be like, you know what? Yes, it does. And we would sit down together. We would take a little bit of stock, take inventory of what is out of your control, those factors going on right now, and also what's in your control. And we would work on some really tangible steps that you could move forward in, or maybe I would just be like, here are some things to keep yourself occupied while you wait for that seasonal shift and things to pick back up. So those are the ideas I kind of want to share with you. So we're going to kind of like give ourselves a chance to feel our feelings, right? Take stock of the things outside of our control. Take stock of the things within our control, which we'll get into a little bit in this episode, and get that momentum back for ourselves. So idea number 1 is to work on your marketing. Now, I'm not talking about blasting on social media every day about how you need new clients or like trying out a bunch of inauthentic sell marketing strategies. What I'm talking about is that this is a great time to ask yourself if you have even been sharing about your business, if you're even sharing that you are taking on clients. I had someone reach out to me the other day with a referral, and she's like, I don't get the impression that you're taking on clients right now. To which I was like, okay, wait, what gave her that impression? I always have time for the right clients and projects. So that was my question number 1. Do people even know that I am taking on new clients and projects? Do I share about my business? And I'm not experiencing a business slowdown at this moment, thank goodness. I just share this to say, that's a question we have to ask ourselves. Do I share about my business? Do I share that I'm taking on new clients, that I do this kind of work? So after we kind of ask that, main question, and if you haven't been doing that, you can pause this podcast right now and go make a post and do that. Then let's dive a little bit deeper into your marketing, because this is a great time to do a little cleanup, a little cobweb removal, if you will. You can look at things like, what's really worked well for me in the past? Maybe have I let some of those things slip or slide? What have I been doing that has not worked or has maybe never worked? What marketing techniques light me up? And which ones am I doing just because I think that I should? Where might be I kind of missing some opportunities? Where does my messaging need a little bit of TLC? Who else could I bring in as a collaborator to actually help spread the word? And then once again, going back to that question, are you promoting yourself and what you do? So that's idea number 1. Look at your marketing. Make sure you're doing it. And then also ask yourself some of those deeper questions and really do an honest review. Idea number 2 is to work on your systems. I love this one. Last year, at the very tail end of the year, I took a couple weeks off for Christmas and I was going to do this very thing. Now, it actually ended up just being a couple weeks off to be absolutely sick on my couch, but what I did get a chance to work on was that behind the scenes stuff, my systems, my client experience, building out my questionnaires and my processes, all the stuff I'm too busy to take care of most of the time, and for you, this might be creating SOPs, streamlining your processes, organizing your inbox and cleaning it out, getting rid of all that gunk that is slowing you down in your business. So a slowdown in your business is actually a great time to say, well, where else am I getting slowed down or stuck? It's a good time to rethink, refine, restructure, and then start implementing those steps. Idea number 3, ask yourself if you are connecting with other people. Business is just a fancy way to say connecting. So if you're not connecting with other people, connect with more. If you are connecting with people, you can still connect with more. Now, the possibilities here are endless. This could be for you joining a networking group, or it's just showing up to more networking events, or showing up consistently to things that you've already signed up for. It might mean connecting one-to-one with other entrepreneurs, or brainstorming together with a little group of entrepreneurs. Maybe you brainstorm on lead generation or messaging or business growth. Maybe you use this time to show up more in Facebook groups, if that's more your speed, and connect with people in that way. Maybe you go ahead and form your own little CEO day with fellow business owners. Or maybe for you, this looks like getting a mentor or hiring a coach or connecting with a strategist. So my point in connecting with other people is just not to let yourself go through this alone. Don't feel like you have to go through this alone. Reach out and ask for help. And you will be surprised at who raises their hand and says, you know what? I love supporting you. And I want to help you through this time. Idea number 4, take some downtime. Here's something I'm not great at. Taking time away from my work and my business. I will admit, during a recent slow period, I didn't do this, and I wish that I had. I wish that I had disconnected very early each day. I wish I had taken some time to step back and recharge, but instead, when my business was going slow at the beginning of this year, I actually overworked. I overcompensated, hoping that if I just worked a little bit harder, it would change things. If I just made another little tweak to my website copy or an SEO keyword on my podcast episode title, things would just take off. So that said, I really want to encourage you to just take a pause, maybe a physical pause, take some downtime. It is really amazing the creativity and also the benefit to your actual energy that can come from like not thinking about your business at all. I mean, that vacation you've been wanting to go on, maybe you even use this as an opportunity to get away and go somewhere outside of that usual environment to give your brain like a true disconnect, a true break from your business. It can give you a whole new perspective. Okay, idea number 5, sign up for a course or educational experience when your business is slow. This is something I did back in I think this was 2 years ago. I signed up for my first SEO course. It was a 6-week SEO course for copywriters, and I immersed myself in every single bit of what she was taught. I was able to really enjoy myself in the learning experience because I had a little bit more time and I could be practicing as I went. And it was actually that course that led me to sign up for a course this year, which was a way more in-depth course. So if it hadn't been for that slowdown time, never would have signed up for the 6-week course. And then I may not have signed up for this year's course, which was, like I said, a 9-month course led by my friend Erin Alilla of the Talk Copy to Me podcast. This has all been a game changer for me in the skills that I'm able to bring my copywriting clients, as well as the results that I can help to get people, as well as my own confidence in what I'm doing. So maybe that's the case for you. Maybe there's been something you've been eyeing that you really want to learn, or a skill you do want to add to your little business toolbox, but you haven't had time. Maybe it's something that you can actually bring to your business, or maybe it's just something you want to do for fun. Maybe you want to learn French or sign language. So ask yourself what you want to learn about and then go for it. And if you're looking for no cost or lower cost resources, maybe you check out books at the library and you really work through the book slowly. You have a notebook and you're going through the book and you're taking notes, or you use this time to listen to, no, not binge, to listen to industry podcasts, or you start watching things on YouTube. Maybe you download all of the past content with character episodes, especially my recent one on taking inventory, because it will kind of walk you through step by step in doing some business mapping for yourself. It'll give you a real accurate picture, snapshot of where you are in your business. But choose your learning adventure and how you want to do it, and then get learning. It's a really good time for that. Idea number 6 is to look at your offerings. Now, here's where you may include the help of a friend or an outside perspective, but I would encourage you to take a really good hard look at your offerings, the messaging around them, whether or not the market demand is even there, whether or not you have too many, or are they confusing? So kind of deep dive, do you like them? Do you like all your offerings? Deep dive into kind of all the offerings that you have, and whether or not they sort of align with the current stage of your business, but also are they the things that your ideal clients are wanting? Are they the things that you want to be providing to your ideal clients? Is the price point right? Is it clear what the outcome is? Do you maybe need to create some new offerings? Is there something maybe you're well, I really don't like this one. Take that one off my plate, but there's something I've been dying to offer and I just haven't had time to create it and implement it. So look at your offerings is idea number 6. Idea number 7 is to work on your website. Now, I feel like I'm going to caveat this one by saying that this idea is best done with the help of a professional, a website designer, a copywriter who can really give you a roadmap based on where you are now with your website and where you want to be. However, if you are a DIYer and you're no, Emily, I got this, I love this stuff. Basically, when I'm saying work on your website, I mean you kind of go through it on a micro level, page by page, very similar to your offerings. Your website is a place that sometimes when things get busy, you don't give it a lot of TLC or attention, and it's a good thing to focus on when your business is slow. A good thing to look at on your website is okay, is my website actually just all about me? Is it all about you? Is it the me show? Or does it speak to my ideal clients? Am I using the right SEO keywords? Is it up to date and accurate? Do all of my images have alt text? Like there's so many things on the back end of our website that we can go through and review. Now, if you want somebody to talk websites with you, like if you want somebody to I will do a website audit. I have so many options around websites, but if you want to focus on that right now, that is 100% something I can help you with. Everything from strategy to implementation. I love it. Hand raised. Okay. Idea number 8. When business is slow. Some of you are going to love this one. I know that I do. It's one of my personal favorite tasks. It's not really a task. It's more like a permission slip to get creative. But I know for me that when things are maybe not moving at the pace I would like, my brain gets a break, basically. It gets a chance to come up with new creative ideas. So I remember, I think it was back in 2022 in May. That was like the first really scary business slowdown I ever experienced. And so I sort of my brain was sort of not working on client stuff, and I had a lot of brain space, right? And when that happens for me, it's like a pressure cooker. I just start getting creative idea after creative idea after creative idea. So I sat down and I wrote a bazillion SEO focused blogs for my business. I created an entirely new group program, the Marketing Momentum Lab, which I launched that July. I made the landing page for it, a workbook, an outline. I came up with a content plan for months out in my business. I crafted emails. I edited podcasts. I had days when nothing creative would come out of me, and then days when I was absolutely on fire with ideas. And so I just took advantage of those days and really, really used that creativity to come up with new things and to create new content. Now, do not put pressure on yourself to create and produce. But if you're anything like me, like I said, it's like a pressure cooker. So you might find that turning down the dial on client work or business tasks, it can actually supercharge you. And then you will be oh, I have to put that energy towards something. Now, this could also be other creative projects outside your business. So thinking of painting or pottery or cooking or photography, reading, doing a puzzle, those kinds of things. So my point here is just when your business is slow, use the time to get creative and allow that creative muscle to, and maybe that's even something you learn about is your own creativity and what you love. Okay, idea number 7 is to review your expenses and your subscriptions. This is a good practice no matter if business is slow or not. But of course, a slowdown affords you more time. A lot of people I know are paying for all these monthly subscriptions they don't need or use. So what I like to do is make a list of everything I'm subscribed to. I have a little document, and I see that I look at it and ask myself, does this all need to stay? So sometimes you'll have to do this by looking at your credit card statement and getting that accurate picture. But I mean, look at everything from tools to memberships. If you're not using it on a regular basis, cancel your subscription. Or if you don't like to just cancel things, if you're not like me, give yourself a due date. If I haven't used this by X date, let's say 3 months down the line, I will cancel it. But the key is really to reduce that extraneous expense and look at spending with intention when times are lean. And honestly, anytime, right? Okay, last idea for you, then I'll take us home. When business is slow, similarly to looking at your expenses, it's a really good time to get caught up on bills, bookkeeping, your mileage. Remember last year when the tax man came and you were late yet again? Well, what if you use a slow time in your business to pay those bills, get caught up on your bookkeeping and your back office tasks, and do all that tax prep stuff that otherwise you would wait until the last minute to do or file an extension for? I like to update my mileage spreadsheet. I go through my expenses and my income and track various metrics and things like that. Tasks I either forget about, get too busy with, or put off. But you probably have this whole list of things for yourself. All right, so those are the ideas. But what I think I really want to bring home is when our businesses are slow, when things are not going as planned, let's say. I think it's really important to begin with that honesty. Also begin with just feeling our feelings and letting ourselves be like, you know what? This is scary. This sucks. I don't want this to be my forever. But then don't let yourself, stay there and wallow in that. Like, we really want to give ourselves some tangible steps we can take to move forward. And if you're kind of like, wow, this was a lot of ideas, where do I start? I would really start with your marketing. And I would say, focusing on take social media and emails and all that stuff out of it at first, right? And focus on asking yourself, where am I really connecting and collaborating with other people? Going back to that thing I shared at the top about Simone's post, where it's like businesses with those really deep connections with their clients and their customer base, those are the ones doing really well right now. So take those first steps. And then I would really work on all that stuff that you never have time for when things are busy. I had a walk with a friend back in May this year, and she and I actually both had 2 weeks coming up, which we could see on our calendars were just kind of like slow business times. I was in between taking on projects, so I just had got to wrap this up and start this one. So we both had basically 2 weeks coming down the pike. We knew we were going to be slow, and we were kind of like sharing the stress around that. There is this weird stress, even though something is on the other side. So we're kind of like sharing the stress and the sob stories and that. And then we just looked at each other and we're like, no, we are going to seize this moment, because in a month, we're going to wish that we had more time to do all the stuff we never get to do in our businesses during this time. And don't you know, on the money, 2 weeks later, when it all came flooding back, we were both right back to being busy and overwhelmed and wishing that we hadn't really felt sorry for ourselves and just spent more time doing the things that I talked about in this episode. So I know that you may not want to hear this, but sometimes I think a slowdown is what we actually need, because it's really this opportunity to reset and reevaluate everything in our lives, our mindset, and where our business is going and who we're talking to. It can be a really welcome season of reflection if we just allow it to be that. So sometimes, yes, it is a signal that something really does need to be adjusted and fixed somewhere in our business and how you're sharing it with the world. So that's where you get that chance to really look at okay, is this something that I need to maybe work on in my business? And then the other thing I just want to remind you is this is a speed bump, okay? It's not indicative of the rest of your life. So be present. Don't predict the future pain. Don't feel the future pain. Just be present in what is right now. Remember that this is happening now, but it does not necessarily mean your business is about to spontaneously combust and be poof forever. I know that for me, once I'm able to move through that and feel that and get through the discomfort and the frustration, I start to find a lot of endless opportunities, creative opportunities in this experience. And I've created and developed some of my next biggest steps. I've also found learning and gifts and created a better relationship and trust in myself. I've stretched myself into asking for support and help and trying new things, putting myself out there in new ways. I've come out on the other side with new connections and a new excitement, I felt sometimes oh my gosh, there's just a new passion and fire for my business and working with my clients lit underneath me like never before. So I hope this helped you in some way. I hope if you're an entrepreneur going through a time of your business being slow, this helped you to not feel so alone and also inspired you in what you can do in that waiting period. And like I said, if you want someone you can trust to sit down with you, talk any of this out, help you look at what's working and what's not as it relates to your marketing, content, visibility, website, let's please have a strategy call. I know that I say strategy, but honestly, it's really more like business owner therapy some of the time. Just kidding. I'm not a therapist, but you can rest assured that I am very kind, compassionate, and I absolutely love listening, and I'm here to help. So next week, join me again because we're going to get into risky business topic number 3. I'm going to keep it, I promise you, so short and sweet. It's actually going to be about ghosting in our business, who does it to us, why they might do it, and a few ideas to kind of help us get through it. So I will chat with you then. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Content with Character. If you loved the episode, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast, rate, review, and share it with someone else you know it could help. For more content and visibility tips, visit my blog at emilyaborn.com and be sure to connect with me on Instagram at emilyaborn. I'd love to hear how this inspired you to take action.